this is one area where I was like, it doesn't matter how I look at this or how I justify it or how I break it down, or like it's not getting me to the emotional place I want to be at. So in trying to step back and look at my feelings about it, and really, like, because I was like, oh, this is always this situation involving these people over here, and then to stop and go, this is my feeling I'm sitting in, and it's not working for me, and realizing I wanted to change this feeling. And then as I'm working on that, and I have a feeling this might bubble up a bit, and I'm excited to work on it in this way. It's that I want that feeling that I'm going for, and then I want the story. I want my story to evolve out of that, of how I want this to be, not how it is in that feeling. Yeah.
So if you could have an emotional place to be at that you enjoy, obviously, because that's the way you're telling the story, and that's what you're going for. Why? Say that if you could describe it, how would that be? I just want to get a clarity on that.
Sorry, can you ask that
again? Okay. So if you,
what is my story the way I want it to be?
No. So we'll go back to the emotions, and you want to connect with an emotional place to be at.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's what you're going for.
Yeah.
Describe that place to me.
Oh, it's an emotional place of like beautiful surrender and allowing, like a very calm allowing for whatever play is playing out around or about certain things, to allow that play to be, and to stay in a very neutral, unruffled place about it,
Okay, so knowing that you are already that, why do you see yourself not that?
Previous reactions.
Yeah. I feel like we're skimming around the surface and not digging the root. That's all. That's why I'm asking you these questions. Yeah. Is that I'm getting that we're making it hard, and it's really not that hard. It's a lot more simpler. So my thing is, what system do you run? Just curiosity. What system do you run fundamentally that it's like you have a process that you have created to find that emotional place, that feeling, or even are you looking for a process to get to that space? Or it's I suppose what I'm curious about is knowing that you're already there, because we know that. Yeah. And so as soon as you think you're not there, you go looking for it.
Yeah. I think I'm actually really getting to the point that I'm feeling like I'm there, like things are done. And I think I was a little apprehensive to play first, because it's not a full story, but it's been like, it's fully in my board.
But it is a story that you're playing.
Yeah. I'm just not sure where to go with it, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah, okay, so we'll go back to really simplistic. We'll go to, what if you could, so you've given it surrendering and allowing as something to focus on, okay? Surrendering and allowing. Yeah. So what's your resistance to surrendering and allowing in life?
I have none. I have none. And that's been a good place for it. But like in the past, I've definitely felt like I needed to, that was.
Oh, sorry, I've missed that because you're cutting out. What's in the past? What was that? Sorry.
I felt that I needed to engage, like I should, like that if I didn't, I wasn't, holding up my part of the party or something. You know what I mean? And but yeah, no, it's just been really coming around and just being. So that's where I've really been with last night and today.
Okay. Okay, I'm feeling incomplete. That's all, and that's my.
Too, but I'm really not sure.
It's not yours. It'll be mine, and it's only because I'm what I've understood, and this is the big thing that I've been discussing a lot lately, and understand myself through these groups, is that I feel so so you're me and I'm you, as I with all of you. Okay, this is how I seem to have worked out a function. If you want to give it a system and an understanding, it's irrelevant, but it's just an awareness that I have. So what I find is when I'm with someone or talking to someone, when it's not truly fully aligned to an understanding of my being, it sticks out like dog's balls. And for me, that's what's happening between you and me at the moment. And that's why I keep digging, and I'm curious because I'd like to shed an awareness and an understanding and a simplicity of an aha, okay, boof, bang, it's there. And I know it's there, yet I haven't got that feeling that it's being lived like that. And so and look, it's not yours, mine, as much it is yours or mine. It's just a curiosity and awareness that I've kind of understood and picking up in conversations or in even with people over coffee or having this extreme awareness. And I'm just highlighting that I can identify. For me, I haven't felt that. Do you know what I mean? I haven't felt that, and all I want to. And all I want to do is go, yeah.
I know you do. And I have anxiety, like I'm not playing right, but I kind of wasn't ready to play in the first place because,
yeah. Okay, so, and
I don't know what to do. And I get that we both don't have a feeling, and I'm sure, like, and I know that we both want to go to the same place, but.
But again, you're not. But for me, that gave me the answer because it's not ready and you're not willing. In the acceptance of being present, that's the ultimate thing. So I feel quite satisfied now because the thing is, it's not mine to do anything with. If you choose to share fully and be that whole experience of it, then so be it. But if you don't, I can give a shit. I'll still see you tomorrow for coffee, sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? It's really. Yay or nay, and we can make something or nothing of it, but it's just and we could go an hour and a half, and right just before we close you'll go bang and it'll click. That's how simple it is. So whatever we've done here will be relevant for something if we make it something, or nothing if we make it nothing. So we'll leave it at that, because I'm as blind as what you are, and or as clear as what you are. Which is not at all. Okay. So Tanya, what's happening in your world?
There's always something different every week. Thoughts just happen. And when you're talking about feelings and things like that, that was actually something that I with Rochelle, I think I feel maybe because I'm not in the room together, I can't feel as much. So to me, this is just, I'm looking at people, but I'm not feeling it as much as I probably would if I was in the room with you, which is normal. But I was listening to Rochelle, and how do I explain it? Yeah, okay, Alison, I'm just going to put it out there and say it.
Yeah, cool.
I feel that all my life, or not all my life, probably for the last maybe 6 to 7 years, it's become meet someone. So I could be in the most amazing mood and I could walk past someone and I could feel something. Then I'll go into a restaurant, anywhere, and just pick up on something. I feel it straight away. So when I meet someone, there's an instant feeling of what I'm getting. And I feel that I have been an empath at times, a lot of my life, because I have felt a lot. And I'm probably going off track here, but now I've realized I've learned to observe instead of absorb the energy, the vibe that I'm feeling, which is where I'm feeling to become now stronger within myself and trusting myself in what I feel. So sometimes, when we talk about reactions towards people, what if what's in me isn't necessarily in that person? What if I know where I'm at this time is I'm in a good space, and then all of a sudden someone comes in and I can feel that that's not me, but it's them. So then I want to help them. That's where I'm trying to work out. Does that make sense?
No, no. I think that's it.
I'm not in the room with you. I don't feel like I'm
no.
because I'm out of this that I'm in.
Yeah, I feel it's a good example of what we've just experienced, actually, because the reality is you can feel it, but if someone's not willing to allow that or even want it, and really it's a freedom of choice because no one has to do anything, and it's allowing and just appreciating them for who they are, not what you'd like or what you want to change or do whatever, because it's got jack shit to do with you. But the feeling that you can feel when you're in a room and when you're in a room like this, the art is it's the same thing. The only difference is how you see it. So you could feel exactly the same, but because your mind probably sees it differently, and again, the conditioning of however you've taken that on board, then that will make that the feeling and the experience, because it becomes your belief. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Sort of. As I go back and I watch them, I understand it more.
It's so cool. It's so cool to have that.
Yeah.
And that's what I was going to say to Rochelle. It's even that if she might go back and see something which should trigger something, and she'll get some other different clarity which has got nothing to do with us anyway. If she, because at the end of the day, she'll understand for her personal self what's right, or what's wrong, or what's whatever, because it's only what we get out of it. It's it's here for everybody, yet it's individualized personally to somebody's, what they get, what they receive. So you could watch this whole thing over again and get 15 different points.
Yeah. And
Vanessa might watch it, get 1. Gabrielle might watch it and get 10. And the whole different, it becomes to what's right, and I don't like using the terminology right or wrong, but I'm using it as a word. What's right for you in this moment. So back to that, the feeling thing that I was trying to give you a bit of clarity on is that we make it different by seeing it different. So whether you see us all in different windows on a computer or see us all in the room having coffee, it's actually the same thing. So the feelings can be...
But it feels different though.
Yeah, because
you can feel the person's energy.
No. Yeah, but that's a conditioning by the way you think. So for me, it's like connect. So it doesn't matter whether you're visual or whether you're on a screen or you're having a cup of tea with me. It's all the same. So whether you're dead or alive, it's all the same. So it's having that connection that it feels the same. But that's just my belief. Whether that's right or wrong, it's just is. It's just what I'm saying is there's limitless possibilities, and it's only played out from how we perceive it to be. Does that make sense now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. I feel that. Yeah. That's cool.
You feel that.
Yeah. It's almost like I get this, and so when I'm feeling, for examples with Rochelle early on, the big thing for me is what I get to experience is I know, because it's almost like she used a descriptive word as anxiety and stuff. I get to feel that, and I know it's got nothing to do with me, but I'm feeling it because she is part of me. So I'm getting...
So that makes sense, because that's what I get when I'm in the room with someone. It's like I can feel it. I can feel it, and it might not be mine, but is it mine? Is it a part of me?
It's part of you. You become an observer of the reactive valve, and then you're kind of like aware whether, shit, is this actually you in function? Am I okay with this? And is this the other part of me that's playing out? So we'll use Rochelle as an example. And it's her, and she actually identified her own anxiety anyway. So for me, that was confirmation of what I was feeling when I was talking to her. So I'm like, oh, that's okay. That's more probably. Are you right? it's more probably her than me at this point in time of what I'm feeling. It really doesn't matter. It's just that we can all feel that if we choose to. It just comes down to a headspace of what we believe is possible, I suppose. So yeah, and I suppose for me that's what I'm saying about identifying aspects of myself. So when I'm with people that function a lot of similarities, the flow and there's no grittiness. I don't feel the grittiness. Yet if I'm with someone that's living probably a whole different way of being, I don't actually feel a hell of a lot now, but I used to probably feel, because I was probably thinking, oh, I could do this and help them and do this. Whereas now I've let that go, so I don't actually feel the same. You know?
Yeah. I like that. Yeah. Okay.
Cool. And look, honestly, out of this one circuit, we'll go round and round and round, and everybody will get, again, you'll get different feedbacks of what one person brings to the table. There's so many different tastings, you know?
Yeah.
What about you other girls? How about we have Gabrielle and Vanessa and Joe, if you're happy doing whatever, you can join in. And Rochelle, you can have a bit of a chat about this and your own perspective shares, because your perspectives are just as valid and important as mine and Tanya's and anyone else's, because everyone gets a multitude of perspectives on what we've been chatting about.
Yep.
I loved what you said just before, Ali, about your belief that if you're alive or if you're dead, it's actually the same. So that really struck a chord in my heart, because, and I can feel it now. Like I was like, oh, you know, I often talk to my dad who's passed, and I just love that idea of holding it as actually no different to him being here. So that really struck a chord with me.
Oh, cheers.
And I liked that. I liked even Rochelle talking about feeling and story, because I know that in the past I've probably differentiated between the two as well. And I liked that understanding of actually it is no different. So that was good insight for me. And yeah, I think they've been the things I've got from the conversation so far.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I'm a bit like you. It's ventured and expanded playgrounds, really.
Yeah. And so much, like, just the dialogue you're having with Tanya, like, everything is the way it is because that's how we choose to see it.
Yeah,
everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Okay, wise soul sitting in the corner of my screen. You know who you are.
I feel I was interested in your conversation with Tanya, in that I feel a little bit more disconnected today because I can see my screen on the computer, whereas the last week I was on the phone and I couldn't.
Yeah.
And it's the realization that when you have a conversation in a group, you don't actually ever see yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a totally different experience for me, and what I'm making that mean.
It's exactly what. Yes. That's exactly. That just went boom. That was an aha moment for me. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's what it is.
Yeah. And I'm choosing to make it mean that I feel more disconnected because I can see myself, and why am I doing that? Like,
having to look at yourself. Yeah, I like it.
That's spot on. That's why I can't connect, because I'm like, this isn't. I don't know.
I think you're all doing so much better than you believe you are doing. And again, I think the more you get to chill the fuck out and not worry about who you are and everything's okay, you can sit at the screen and not really worry about too much, because there's nothing to worry about, you know. And they're all the little fine-tuning things. I think it's a big thing, like you say, Vanessa, sitting in front of a screen, talking, chatting, whatever, because you've gone from this, you know, whether you write messages or whether you're chatting in a small number and then you're exploiting yourself. Now you're putting yourself on a screen and now you're being seen, and now you can see yourself being seen. So there's a whole lot of understandings, and the more I think it becomes just not that I go out there and chat away on screens very often, but I don't feel any different, because it's kind of like I don't make it any different, but
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's just I'm kind of just okay. I mean, I'd prefer to probably look a lot more sharper and stuff if I had a choice of if I really wanted to make an effort. But I don't feel that that's just a personification of a presence of a playground. Because at the end of the day, I go to town, I go out to cafes in my slippers. So really, you know, it doesn't make a difference. It's only what I kind of play at the time, I suppose. I think that's it. I think if you can turn up and this is a good time of the night to do it, like we said, in the slippers and the pajamas and the stuff. And if you can sit here chatting and knowing that everybody, you're very vulnerable at the moment because anybody can tune into this and, you know, over the next few days or whatever, and it is what it is. What we've said before is once you've stepped out and been that vulnerability, there's actually nothing more to hide, and then it becomes so much more playful.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
It was interesting that I'd had the experience last time I joined the Zoom room of having the phone with no photo, because I said it was the technology that made me feel disconnected.
Yeah.
In that last experience, I felt just like we were sitting around a table at Conscious Cravings or anywhere.
Yeah.
And tonight, when I had the photo in front of me, I just went, oh.
But a great in seeing the transformation in your own self from behind, you know, probably being at home to being at the coffee table to being chatting and now seeing yourself on screen. So from the point of where you've taken yourself to where you are now is such a whole transformation in your own understanding of how far you've come within your, you know, getting comfortable and liking who you are and being okay with who you are and in public, you know, that's, I mean, there's a lot of people that couldn't do that. So, you know, credit where credit's due, and it's just, and it really doesn't matter, as we know, but for our own getting to like who we are and being comfortable with ourselves, you know, it ticks the boxes. Really, it's just it's a reflective mirror.
It's so bizarre because if we had a little piece of blue tack just over our face, like I would feel so much more comfortable. I would be more, you know what I'm saying? I'd be more expressive and being myself, because I can do that when I'm out with people. Like, I'm very social, but here,
what makes it different? What makes it different for you? Because it's a good, it's a good sharing. What makes it different for you?
I don't know. I probably do feel still vulnerable and feel a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because it is quite up close and personal.
Yeah.
And I would rather probably like if I couldn't see myself, I'm already comfortable by doing that because I'm looking at you and talking to you.
Yeah.
So that feels better already. Yeah. I don't know what it just does. So maybe, I haven't got that full self-acceptance. I'm very aware of that. I think and I'll be honest with that, because if I was, I could be so free here, but I don't feel like I am as much. That's my own stuff. But that's okay.
Yeah, no, that's cool. And I'm here to remind you that you are already, which you know, the thinking that you're not is the difference that's playing out. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's what that's I think keeping it very simple. If we are at all already, whatever we're thinking, the world will play the difference back to us. Yeah. If that makes sense. Yeah.
And I used to love the camera, so I'm not really sure what's going on there.
Yeah, but it's just a self-worth, self-value, self-acceptance and vulnerability. And from the point that you arrive to the point you're at now, and that's a very short time, Tanya, is, you know, 100% difference. You know, it's not a small fragment. It's a huge jump. So credit where credit's due. And don't be so hard on yourself. It's about having fun. It's about having fun and not caring. And when you get to a place, it's not as if I don't care all the time.
I'm laughing at Gabrielle. Just now looking at Gabrielle. Yeah. Not laughing at you. I just laugh. I like your smile, so I laugh at it.
Yeah.
Vanessa, can you give me something on that?
She is good. She's good. I think that's the whole thing is, I'm not, you know, there are moments of glitches that you do. I still can feel the odd, but I'm so aware, and I just kind of like, it's like in the next breath, it's like, oh, you got to be fucking joking, you know, and then I'm back to that space, because I really, the bottom line is I really don't care. I mean, in saying that I care generally, I have things I like to live by, because that's just who I am. So I do care, but the general thing is that you get to a point that if you don't accept me for who I am, and I'm so comfortable at a point where who I am now that if I'm not being that, I'm uncomfortable. And so it's a very, where would I rather be playing from? And it doesn't matter. Yeah, been put in some interesting, places and people and stuff, and you just kind of, you can feel the difference of where people are being authentic, and I think that comes down to where you're at and how truthfully and vulnerable you're living. You get to feel that in the people that you're around, because they're so much a reflection of you that it becomes such a difference. But there's just two different things. I think what I'm going to make a point of is what I've experienced for myself is that we talk about the empathy, and yes, I've definitely done the empathy thing until I realised that empathy too is an experience to be had. And I was making it more than what it is. I'm still aware of it and I still feel it. And I think I joke about, and my friend that I've spoken years to, is that because we believe it to be so it is. So I was having the empathetic experience, and I still to this day can feel different bits and pieces. But my awareness, I think, for me now talks to me, and and I kind of identify. I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that. But then I think a lot of it's got to do if you're not quite who that space that we know well, that we identify as our core, who we are. Any little fragment's going to show you that. So is empathy another reflection to self, talking to self? I don't know, but that's somewhere that you could take, if you could be nosy enough to see. But it doesn't matter. No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
They're just different perspectives. Hey, Joe, are you back at home?
Yes, I am back at home. I just blanked out during the transition through the house. So
no, you're fine. You're fine. How now that you're back, do you want to have a chat on anything that you've picked up on your drive home?
Well, it was very interesting. I'm not sure I got all of it, but the bit that I found interesting perhaps was I think when you and Rochelle were talking, and obviously there was the sort of disconnect that you were discussing, and then maybe Alison, you said something like if she had have named the emotion, it would have made sense for you. And I wondered whether that's the difference when you're not physically present, that you actually there's a bit more information that's required in order to make that full connection. The information that's missing by not being physically present with each other is maybe just different.
Yeah.
But that's that was just an observation.
Observation, good reflection between me and Rochelle. I would say, in all honesty, it's like Rochelle said, she wasn't ready to present what she wanted to present, even if she wanted to present, and I'm sitting there going, okay, tell me, I want to play in there, and she's like, oh well, I'll be as cryptic as possible, and I won't give you all that I want to share. And so I'm playing with a half processing storyline, which is irrelevant. It really, it would have been easier to say, okay, see you later, I'll move on from here. But I think it keeps it real. I think you've got to go there to understand it's all okay and you don't need to know. And in the presence of everything, it all can be moved just by being who we are. And there's nothing to do. If you want to do something, join in and allow it to be, and because it moves a lot more simply with a whole lot of lightness. Do you know what I mean? I believe that's a belief I've created and play in, because really that could be a whole lot of bullshit too. So I'm sitting there saying, yeah, let's join in and shift this, because hey, we all like everyone to feel like this, but if not everyone wants to feel like this at this particular moment in time, and they have their own processes in their own ways, and I think it's really important that we respect that, and it's reflected through this, because just because I have a way doesn't make it your way or any other way. You are an individual. You have your own right and your own process and your own understanding, your own experience, and who am I to tell you what to do?
can I just say, I've been subtly processing on the side through all of the conversations since then. I definitely, and it's been good. And I realized why I wasn't, some of the aspects of why I wasn't ready to share more story, which you needed to get in there and know
and pull the weeds.
And it was really great, because Tanya brought up, the not sitting around a coffee table thing. And it's funny because I actually feel like it's a lovely group. I feel quite connected in it. I realized, this particular story, like, that I wanted to go in that way at that moment, I would have shared, it was about another person, that knowing that this will also be publicly available, and
Yep.
that wasn't, but at the same time, knowing as through each conversation, it's kind of pulling another little bit for me to look at it.
Yes.
And so it's been really nice, even though maybe I wasn't ready. I know that I'm percolating through this whole discussion.
Which is what I was referring to before, and I think that was why it was so important that we did go there, Rochelle, and I've probably used that moment without even realizing, but I felt no matter what we initiated by not even knowing, but even processing our focus onto the unknown, it allows something to come through for you to understand more within your own processing of whatever you're going through. Yeah. So nothing's ever wasted, and trusting, like, and I think that's the respecting thing sorry, I'll go in a minute, Gabriel. The respecting thing that I've gained out of this is that I will bring up things, and I will, tap on someone's door, and I will do whatever if it feels that this is the moment. And sometimes I don't even get a feeling. I'm just going for it because I'm just going for it. And now I get the luxury of how many minutes we're into this, but you're now reiterating my thinking. So, or even my words, like I said, we'll go around and it's whatever. We may get to a point of something that helps or not or whatever, and it doesn't need to be known, or we don't have to say, oh, well, this is it, that's helped me done this. For you, it's like, okay, yes, boom, right, let's, next. And yeah. So, and I think that's the big key about understanding, which sounds really weird, but I'm getting it, is that there is nothing to be spoken or said, because it can be done just by being here. So in that moment, mate, you're going to have to watch. You're going to have to watch that tomorrow.
I'm going to go back and watch it, don't I?
Yeah, because some of the shit that I share, I don't even remember, and that's and an understanding I've gained of that is that a lady I shared with a couple of the girls is I went to a with actually Vanessa and Sheena on it. They took me to some coffee, and a lady shared with me, and I was telling her, I don't remember. I can say shit and I don't remember it in the next minute. And she says, no, because it's not relevant, and the present moment is now here, and that's been. And if you bring that back, it's relived, and it's never relived from the same point of what it was delivered, and it's then fragmented again. And I'm going, oh my God, you make so much sense. So when you watch it tomorrow, can you write it down and send it to me?
Because it made me feel something when you did say that. And when I get that, that's like, that's okay.
Yeah.
We got.
But it's good to make that clear, because sometimes, like a lot of you know that I will say things and then I'll go, hey, I don't know what I've said. Yeah, it is what it is. Yeah. And I'm now here. Yeah. So no. Thanks, Joe. That was kind of a good trigger to unfold a lot more sharing. Okay, rightio. So I'm not poking Rochelle anymore. I've poked poke the monkey too much. Joe, have you got anything you want to share or discuss or get understanding or different perspective on?
No, I've had a pretty heavy couple of weeks. We had a death in our family, and I'm just focusing on trying to manage my energy at the moment and look after the people that need to be looked after. And I think that's just been a balancing act the last couple of weeks. So it's been very interesting. So I think that's the main thing.
Okay, I'm only going to give you one thing. and maintain looking after yourself, and all else will be looked after. That's the most important thing, that if you're not looked after, if you're not looking after you, the ripple effect of what you're not looking after is going to affect everyone else anyway.
Thank you.
So take care of you. Okay, Vanessa, have you got any good little nitty gritty curiosity little trigger points you want to share with us?
You know me too well. I just, from my perspective on the Rochelle play, I just want to say that I saw it all as being perfect, because I actually heard her say the words, I didn't want to play first. I didn't feel like I was ready. And then that was exactly what was created. So I could just, from here, I could just see the whole perfection in all of that. I've had an amazing weekend of being, of theatre, of just absolute joy with my family. And so I feel complete gratitude for, all the wisdom you've shared, everyone else who's played a part in that, because I feel like a totally different person to I felt 6 months ago, like just so incredibly different. And just so much more present. Like this weekend, I just loved every moment and whatever unfolded. Whereas for previously, I was always looking for wanting to be somewhere else from where I was. So I really love that. And I'll share with you, like, just so much more fun with my family, to the point where I'm so much more self-expressed and talking about who I am and what I believe, because I feel so much more confident in that. And to the point where my 13-year-old today hit my 8-year-old son and said, "Oh, that's just an experience, Mum. What would you like to make of it?"
And now it's mirroring back to you. I love it. I so love it.
There's so much more play and fun.
Yeah.
What I have been aware of this weekend, in the little niggling question, is that I reached that point of understanding oneness.
Yeah.
And I felt like in that point I understood, and there was no more need to know. And then I've been aware this weekend, and I love that space of feeling like there is nothing I need to know. That this weekend my mind has again been trying to clutch onto, what's beyond oneness.
Yeah.
And so now it's like I can feel my mind trying to clutch onto, well, then what's nothingness? Now I've got oneness.
Yeah. Same thing. Same thing, but go looking if you want to.
Yes. So, and I was aware today. I went, it is the same thing. It's just my mind trying to, clutch onto something and make something out of nothing.
Okay, you've triggered something in me. Okay, mind wanting. Okay, so I again, look, it just doesn't matter, as we know. The mind wanting to know. So now we're segregating the mind separate. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was a really good. They were good words, because I think that's where we go. We start doing. Okay, so now the mind wants to know. So the mind is no different to the being. You are the mind.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? So it's still you. We can't alienate the mind to be separate from us, because it is us. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's, and even though we've programmed it and we've done that, that's our thinking too. Do you know what I mean? I totally agree with what you're saying. Yet the contrast, because there's always contrast, only because we make it. We'll give that contrast in a point that the mind is us anyway. So, and that was my big thing. It's like, oh, that's cool. And then I'm going, oh yeah, okay. So, but the mind is us. So therefore, it keeps playing. I want you to. I was wondering if you can just reflect over something I wanted to share. Well, it came to me when you were talking about the oneness stuff. And what was your, and I mean, I know you got the nothingness and the, oh, okay, I got it. I'm curious in what feeds us in the needing to know. And then we got to that. Okay, we got, so you girls that don't know, Vanessa was messaging a chat this morning. and I asked her a question right at the beginning, which is what I usually do. And what I find with a lot of people is I ask the question and they go down a tangent, which is like me rambling, and they go down a tangent and they'll go down the tangent in and out, and they'll have lots of other valuable information. And then you'll give them the same question as what they started with probably half an hour later. And they'll have a whole answer for you and they get it. And what we've found through that processing, which is very empowering, it allows the person to find the answer within themselves because they already know. And we're just triggering all the questions for them to find it. So I think the important thing for me is what I'm probably gaining or wanting to share with you all is Vanessa to give a understanding of what it was feeding.
Yeah, that's a great question. And so I think it is it is that sense of feeling like I'm not there yet.
Mm.
So I know when I got to feeling oneness, I thought, oh, I'm there. Yeah, and then again, my mind created something else to make me feel like I wasn't there, or there's somewhere I still need to get to.
Mm. Mm. And I think, I can't remember, I think we come to the words being at peace with not needing to know or not needing a sense of purpose, which I think is really valid sharing, because I think we're all looking for something that we already have. Look, I'm not saying don't have a sense of purpose or whatever. If that rocks your boat and this is what you're here to do and that's what you think, hey, go for it. Yeah. What I'm saying is that if it's a driving force of that, you then go and do this and you find this and this, and then you'll go off and you'll go and do it in sport and you'll try and find this, and it's all the same. You'll go off to work and you try and find this, and it's all these scenarios that you're doing to find something that you already are in this space. Yeah. And it's with awareness, and then with that I think becomes more playful. It becomes more of a playground to participate in, understanding it really doesn't matter, it's here for the experience. Our curiosity does kick in and we like to know and we like to play, but don't make it that source of a need. Well, I think when you get to a point where it's like if you need to be doing this and you need to do that, and then it's something about it. It's got you. If it's not a kick of it's an attachment. Okay, that's right. It's maybe if it's an attachment, and if we come in with nothing and we leave with nothing, is which we've already spoken. What are all the external attachments that we get attached to, even through thinking? That's an external attachment. It's just enjoying being present here right now in the process. Again, it's an individual journey. I'm not going to say, this is where you need to be or this is what you need to be doing, because that's a whole lot of crock. What you're doing is perfect and where you are is perfect. I think there's a really valid question that you all could take into consideration, which we asked today, Vanessa, and it was something about life and death. What was that? That was the question, and it triggered something in you. So what if you were born and you die and that was all there is?
Yeah, so at first that I had a reaction to that, and when I see that, I feel the release of it's all just play and it's all just an experience. And I get that the other side is, I grew up in a family where it was very much about doing and getting somewhere and achieving something. They were the things that were spoken about. So I can see both. Yeah. And I can see that when I'm not conscious of it, I slip back into that, that old pattern, that old habit. Mm-hmm. What interests me is the way it's like I almost feel like it's creeping in the back door now. Yeah. Because I feel like I've become so much more consciously aware of it. it's finding different ways to.
Yeah, and I think you become almost a personalized version of the product of what you are, and you can run a system if you want to run a system a certain way. Again, that's a control pattern, and that's actually what we don't want to be is control. We would just want to be, the whole thing. I think don't overlook at it, don't overthink it, don't overdo it. Just enjoy it, whatever it is in that particular moment, and without the need to get anything out of it. Because it's like I walked out today to put the recycling out, and I looked at it and I was like, oh my gosh, those birds are making a home in that tree. That's so funny. And they're hollowing it out. There's not going to be much left of that tree shortly, but and they're just all these gorgeous birds. And then I got, oh my God, how cool is that? And something like that was as good as meeting up with my girlfriend yesterday, having mulled wine in Melbourne. It was that much of a buzz for me. And I think that's what the enjoyment is about, and that's what the no expectations and the non-need, the non-need to achieve, the non-need to have a label, the non-need to all those external stimulants of having a sense of purpose, and instead of just being the experience and a personalized version of how you want to play it, and how you personalize it is purely the fragments of difference, yet we're all the same.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was very much my experience that I did speak to you about making the chicken soup for my family the other week. Like it didn't matter what I was doing. There was nothing that could possibly have been better, worse for labels than that experience of making chicken soup for my family. And that's what I love, being in that space.
Yeah. Which we are always, like we know, yet I think it's as soon as you go looking for something.
Yeah.
You know, or that thought, as soon as you start thinking, you're out there. A thought is a separation of self to me now. That's literally how far it's become. Okay. Understandably so, we can focus on what we choose to create what we want. So it has tools. They are tools. They're almost like external tools to play in this huge playground, which has so many experiences to experience. Yeah. So and I think that's where the no word, the no thought, the no whatever, and it's like I said, I've been saying a lot to people lately, is it's like getting behind the thoughts and behind the words, and it's like sitting at that doorway that you're now recognizing things coming in, Vanessa, and you do that with your thoughts. It's that the thoughts they're almost perishing as they're coming in, because it's like having and then the ones that want to come in and play, and you decide to I'm going to swing on this all day, and let's whatever. Don't think there's a right or wrong. Just think it's just a fun playground, Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Cool.
So true. Those thoughts, isn't it? That's how the thoughts create your feelings. And I know the last couple of days I started that feeding, the festering again of someone that I know, and I could feel it. I started feeding myself again. Doing it again, and it felt horrible. It was like it was making me feel sick. I started feeling angry, and I'm like, why am I doing this to myself? So in a second, I actually switched it and said, you can change this at any time, and I did. And all of a sudden, as I got out of my thoughts and I just started to come back to myself, I could feel my shoulders drop, and I was fine. It was like I did it in a quick switch. And it kept trying to creep back up on me. It said, go back to that. And I'm like, why do I want to go back to that? It feels so horrible. Why do I want to do that? So instead of asking myself why, because then I thought I didn't need to know, but then I want to know why I'm feeding that part of me that I know that I don't like that feeling. Because when I let it go and I just was like, okay, whatever. Why am I giving any thought to this? So I don't need to. I actually... Yeah, felt better, much better.
Yeah, I like that. And the thing is, as soon as we start giving it attention, it grows. That's that whole thing. What you put energy into, it manifests and feeds. And here's another really cool. All of you guys have given me lots of contrasting things that I'm nullifying through this I was going to say this program, this program tonight. That's just a play on words. Feelings versus thoughts, again, no difference, and we've made them different. Whoa, that's so again, we've touched on some really simplistic things. So our programming, training and stuff is our belief of what we've been told previously to this moment, and by many masters of whoever we've wanted to read, listen to, blah blah blah, and we've all done it. Feelings versus thoughts is exactly the same as words versus thoughts, as emotions versus thoughts. They're all playgrounds, and they can't be rated 1 to 10, even though we rate them 1 to 10 and we believe one comes before the other. And I'm now fragmenting away from that to they're actually, and I think that's what I'm saying is in the space of awareness, you're aware, you start recognizing a thought awareness, you start recognizing your word awareness, you start recognizing emotion playground, what I want to bang into. So they're all playgrounds, and if we treat them as equal, then none of them can dominate.
Okay, because I've always seen as thoughts create the feeling, and that feeling then creates the thought.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying this is what that's instigated this thinking pattern of me that's shunting through tonight is a recognition of non-recognition, because you don't want to identify with anything really, because it then becomes part of the control factor of the outcome. I'm loving this terminology I'm using, and I obviously got this friggin' bright light shining on my head and this glow behind me for a friggin' reason.
Did you see the light shining right into your head?
There's a bit of it. I said to when I tuned in earlier when I tuned into Gabriel. Well, I've tuned into you tonight, Gabriel. Well, when I met up with Gabriel here in the room tonight, I said, "What's the shit? I've changed my iPad around so many times to try and get rid of this light that keeps shining in my head, and look at the." And if you look behind me, there's this huge fucking glow that's just like sticking out here. And I said, what is with this shit? And I was trying not to have this and adjust it, because I thought, I don't need this fucking light thing shining at me. Anyway, I've surrendered to saying it doesn't really bloody matter. You're going to shine now. And it is. So I'm just going with it, but, call it what you may. But I'm kind of keen to go back and get some terminology off what we've been talking tonight, because I think there's something bigger in this that we're all sharing. More so for stop separating the fucking shit out of things, because whether it's a word or a thought or an emotion or whatever, it just is that, and stop empowering that, because it's depowering us, and and we're separating it, and it's almost like a control that it plays over us because we've given it that power. Okay, I'm going to stop dribbling, because it just wants to keep going. Yeah.
Can I ask something, a shiny lady?
Can I? Sure, like a diamond.
This is really something that I'd love to know if anyone else has experienced it. Maybe they haven't, maybe they have. So a couple of days ago, I was festering on something. There's a word, festering on something that it wasn't making me feel good. And it was about someone that was close to me that I needed to, I feel, let go of, because I felt like the time was right and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, I kind of felt it, and this sadness and this grief and all this other stuff, and then almost created it within the other person. So I was wanting to take them off all my social media, because the pain in the past, it was too much for me. And I thought, it's for her sake and for my sake, I think maybe that is the right thing to do. And without me even thinking it, well, I thought that was my thoughts, because I think she was okay with it. But it was mine. She defriended me, and I felt like I made it happen.
Oh, absolutely.
And a sadness came over me, and what have I done? What have I done? But,
you're so funny.
But it happened with something else as well, and I put it out there that I wanted then this person then to do something, and then it happened within 2 days, and I'm like, okay. So what's that all about?
Oh, look, honestly, and the faster with your awareness of understanding, you'll see it process so much quicker. I think the biggest thing is when you become aware of what you, the connection to everything. And I mean the connection to everything, and you acknowledge that connection, and then make it your belief. Well, hello, boof, it just happens, dong, 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 and it'll be like a green light, green light, green light, green light, bang, slap, red light, and you'll know when you've pushed the wrong button or what is wrong or right.
But how has that happened? Has that other person felt that from that?
Look, honestly, so what did you want out of it? Yeah, exactly. Do you need to know? And does it really matter? No. But for an interesting chat that would make, so here's my curiosity within your play. The festering and not feeling good. It's got jack shit to do with anybody but yourself, as you know. Letting go of something and knowing that everything's connected if we're all one, if we go down oneness or nothingness. What are you letting go of? Because it's always going to be there. That's what cracks me up about anybody letting go of something. Look, honestly, the wanting and the peace. So
it's out of mind, out of sight. That's how I saw it.
Out
of mind, out of sight.
That's a really cool thing. Yeah. I think that's a really cool thing to share. Okay, because I know a lot of people play this out of mind, out of sight. The thing is, if it's relevant in your being and it's present in your inner being, not your external playground through life, it's going to come back at you anyway. And it's because it's existing within you. So why shoot the messenger that could be simple when it could be a bigger messenger later on if you've missed it? So embrace the messenger. The thing is, when you come to
hurting, I was hurting too. Okay. Yep. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm talking to
you. No. You're getting your own internalization. That's absolutely fine. And how you process it, whatever, it doesn't matter. Yeah. And look, honestly, I couldn't care whether you're friend, not friend, whatever. That whole thing's got jack shit to do with anything. My big thing is about more. And for me. And which is really selfish for me. Okay. For me, I would like to find that peace within you, because are you finding that peace within you for, that whole thing? Whether you want it or not is another thing. It might feed you, whatever that's going on.
I do. I really do it in my life. It's what I'm just wanting to have. And I have it. But
yeah, you are it. What I'm finding, and look, I don't know, some people think it takes process from this to 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 this. So processing, and depending on how you think, it will be from this to 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 this. But if your process believes that it can be here now, it can be here now. So no matter what, it's the formula you run, and I'm not saying your formula, Vanessa's formula, Gabrielle's, Rochelle's, Joe's, or Tanya's, or mine, are the right formula or the wrong formula. At the end of the day, are you having fun? Is it good? But then, are you getting pissed off? Is it not good? They're all the same. We make it different. Yeah. So how can something that's not good be turning up in your life for your experience to be experienced? So be it. Experience it for what it is. Don't get jack shit about it. Like, if you want to be angry, don't stay in angry. Start learning to appreciate what's turning up in life, or find one good thing in it. You're focusing on all what you're not enjoying, so you'll get more of what you're not enjoying. Focus on what you like. I shared with a lady who, absolutely, my girlfriend, when I was in New Zealand years and years ago, had a boss or something, and some worker that she absolutely despises, and she's a bitch and blah 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 blah, and had a really good story. And anyway, I said, so tell me something good about her. And she said, oh, and I said, well, does she have, what's a fashion like? Oh, actually, she always has really nice handbags. And I said, well, focus on the handbags. And so she started focusing on the handbags. Well, she left work.
Huh?
So the lady
with the handbags left
work.
Focus on the handbags.
So while you find something good, when you stop focusing on, focus on something shit, you're going to get shit all the time.
I felt so good when you were saying that.
Yeah,
that was great.
And that's
positivity. See, that just feels better. I love that.
Yeah. So,
just
but it's a
shift of conversation.
Yes. So have a shift of focus. Turn it. Everybody. So look, there's a lot of shit that you can focus on, people in life, and one of my biggest thing is find something good in everyone. There is always something good, only because I've segregated good and bad and blah blah blah, or what I enjoy. And so at the end of the day, now it's just everybody's beautiful and core at the core of their being. That's who they are, because that's who I choose to be, and that's what we are, and it's a place of being, and that's I've made it something. We're all that. So why do I bother looking for all the crap that pisses me off? Or why do I look at somebody and go, they're fat, they're thin, they're black, they're white, they're lesbian, they're straight, they're whatever. Why do I start segregating anything? Because if you removed everything,
if we have done that, Ali? What if in
who hasn't done it? Who hasn't done it?
You always see the good in everybody, but then they do something and you're like, why? Why?
Because if you see something good in everybody, but you're not seeing it in yourself, life will show you the difference.
Oh, okay.
It's very simple. So again, it comes down to if we talk systems and programs. So if you run program A, but you're living program B,
yep.
and the world is a TV program showing it back to you, the difference between A and B will be what channel you tune into on the screen on the TV, and it'll be played back to you. So it'll be something that either pisses you off or makes you happy. Whatever's dominating the soul and being, the world will balance that reflection to you. So that's why it's for me. I think it's important to come to peace with everything, even those that piss you off.
Yeah.
And those that piss you off are actually our biggest teachers, as we know.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
Anybody got?
I have a great example this week.
Yep.
I've had a huge shift over the last couple of weeks in understanding about that there's nothing to do and there's nowhere to be. And I was like, wow. And just last week I did have anger come up around it, because I was like, what the fuck have I spent the last 42 years doing?
Living, experiencing, market shit. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but just so searching and striving, and yeah, I even feel emotional saying it now.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, right, okay, nothing to do, nowhere to go. And it's really that simple. But had this underlying anger, and then I had something present itself in my life, and it was a really basic thing, but it was like I suddenly didn't, it was something that was, I was like, oh, I just don't trust this person. And then it was like when I reflected on it, I was like, I'm actually not trusting myself, that it could be this simple. And then I got another person that I heard myself saying again, I don't trust. I'm like, oh, okay. So it was like, I'd had these insights and then had the reaction of being angry, but then not trusting the insights. And that's how life just showed it to me. Like with boom, another example of not trusting, boom, and I'm like, okay, I get it. So
I'm just going to spin a random thing that if we're born and we die and we just come here to experience, it really doesn't matter. But in saying that, I'm like you, Gabrielle. I'm friggin' nosy as shit, and I'll make a story out of it because it sounds good. And this is the contrast. That's what we're talking about. This is the reality that we're talking about. We can make it whatever we want to be. And look, if you come in to be angry in life, be fucking angry and enjoy every moment of being angry. It really doesn't matter, but we make it something. And I think that's the thing is, I think it's the segregation. Yeah, sorry.
It's funny though, Ali, because in giving something a good story, it doesn't help me come to peace with it.
Yes. But if that's a system that runs for you and it gives you peace, hey, so be it. I'm not here to judge. And I'm here to play. I've got my own shit and systems that I've got.
And Ali, I've been wondering too, if we all make it mean nothing, What would we talk about?
But then that's
good.
That's cool, because I've always thought there's no need to speak.
Yeah.
Because we get further away from ourselves with each word.
Yeah, wow. Yeah.
I can't wait to watch this tomorrow because
Yeah, no, I know. And it's the same with thinking. You think
I'm the
about
reaction it gives Gabriel. I'm like, okay, I want to go back to that.
I'm going to say I can't wait, but I can wait because I'm quite happy where I am at the moment.
I know.
We're staring at each
I'm
other.
looking forward.
Can we just give her an
Okay,
A+?
I feel like I'm looking forward.
Yeah. A+, Vanessa. No, even with thinking, I'm talking about words. I'm saying even as soon as that thought comes, you've segregated a separation of being.
Yeah.
And which multiplies into an experience, which becomes a reality, which has so many fragments of playgrounds, which then becomes, 50,000 stories times 10. Yeah. It's just, and so I think that's where you got to get really okay with just being here, experiencing, and everything is what it is. It's nothing till we make it something. And it's finding, and it's like what you said, Vanessa. You can feel the difference of what it was like 6 months ago to how you feel today. If that makes such a difference doing this, then do things that work for you. It might not be this; it might be something else you read tomorrow, or someone's post. That's, those things turn up in life every day, and even losing someone, and like with what Joe's going to, things like that happen every day. So the thing is not to separate what's been here, not here, because it's still all here. It's just a different way and a different perspective of looking at it, and being aware of the signs that are always shown. So for me and my dad, I feel more he's here with me now than he was when he was physically on this plane, obviously because we were living physically separated. I had gained that separation, yet now I find him here more with me because it's like instant. You turn up you go out, and how often I go out. So you go out and at a cafe, and then this number 11 will turn up, and I'll just start laughing, or number 17, because that's Dad's basketball number and his birth number. And that just boom. And especially, and then on moments that are significant, especially around what was coming early around his birthday, I had like 3 weeks of intense father symbology, and I had no intention of focus about it. And then it was, what is that with this? And then I realized, his birthday was coming up. And so when we just play presently, that's what I mean. The fields are so here, like every alternate reality, universe, whatever, it's all here. It's just us filtering it through what we think it needs to be and how it's going to present ourselves. So and then as soon as we think it's separate from us, or life is here and death is there, we've separated that film, and that makes it further apart. Yet it's not, it's just our thinking that's separated it. And to begin with, the thoughts separated it, so it was okay back here or wherever, which is us. But anyway, that's a bit of a ramble. Oh, excuse me. Rochelle, got any feedback?
The one time I looked up to check the time tonight, it was 9/11, which is my great-grandfather's birthday. And I still dream about my great-grandfather and my great-grandmother all the time. Awesome. And it's always it takes me a while to catch up to realize they're physically dead. They're that present with me when we'll discuss things, and they will, give me insight into what I should look at or advice, and, we just chit chat. But it's funny, I'll actually go a couple hours and then be like, fuck, they died 20 years ago.
Again, there's no difference, and you're actually playing the reality is that they're still here, they're still, that whole thing, and that means that the fundamental of them can play with you. Do you know what I mean? It's you're not resisting, or they're not. There's nothing forced. And in dream state, are we not in dream state now, or are we in dream state when we sleep? Like, seriously, dude, are we just what's living and what's dreaming? So you could be having absolutely the conscious conversation with them, which I'm fully aware that you probably are. The reality is, it only makes it a difference once we give it a story and start speaking about it, isn't it? It's ultimate experiences with no word, and even if they turned out with no word, it would be fully present and understanding. How lucky are you? That's awesome. Blessed.
Yeah, you know, it's super cool when you have those moments. It's not. Yeah.
Well, I trust they tune up and talk to you tonight about your chat room. Too easy. Do it in sleep.
Hey. You know what? I'm just going to sleep on it.
Yeah, that's how easy it's done. That's exactly it. Yeah. Okay. Any other, anyone else got some feedback or chat or what's just come up from anything? Joe, you got anything over there? I know that's a bit of absorbing night for you and it is what it is. Anything you'd like to reflect on or share or?
No, I think, the key themes for me is about, not separating the shit out of things, I think you said. I think that's a big one. And, just how long or whether you need to process, it's come up for me before, this notion about needing to process. Can you just be, can you just go to where you need to be without having to go through a process or the process? So those elements have been really, they've resonated with me tonight.
Cheers. And I think that's the thing. If somebody systematically likes process and works processes, well, so be it. Seriously, dude, if they want to go 1, 2, 3, whatever. But if someone wants to go 1, 10, hey, so be it. There's no right or wrong. And at the end of the day, the difference is always going to be shown to us, or if we're curious enough to look and see. Again, does it really matter? It could be simple as just a stub toe or whatever. And it's nothing, again, Vanessa, till we make it something. And that's like so today, here's a great example. It's nothing till we make something. I went and brought a vacuum cleaner because my husband was vacuuming, God bless his soul, as he does. And we go and he blew it out. So it blew out. And anyway, so we went and got a new one. And I love it. They're looking at me going, and who does the vacuuming? And I go, he does. And so they totally fixate in talking to him, which is great because I couldn't give a shit, really. And anyway, so we ended up coming out with a vacuum cleaner, but it was so funny. It had such and such dog and cat W2000, and it's so funny. Conscious Cravings this morning after our walk, this dog from a rescue place came, and I've been saying every time I see a dog, I'd love a dog. I just love a dog. I just want a dog. So now we've got a dog and cat vacuum cleaner. I said, we must be getting a dog. So, and Vanessa cheekily writes on my comment, it's nothing till we make it something. And I said, I'm making it something. I want a dog.
You want to make it something. Yeah.
So again, it's just having playful fun with the experience without the expected outcome and the controlled outcome. It's just feeding an energy that you enjoy playing in.
Yeah.
And watching it unfold, whether it unfolds or how it unfolds or whatever. And it's just, it's just having not that attachment to the outcome as much. I mean, I've been lucky enough to have so many dogs lately around me that just come up and just, want to be played and petted and whatever. So whether I have one here or I get to do that when I'm out, hey, it just, ticks the box.
I've had some funny, interesting things happen with some animals this week that have just literally jumped out in front of me at certain moments. So I was driving back from my friends the other night, wasn't really concentrating. Fox just pulled out in front of me and I went, oh shit, Fox ran away. Then I was sitting at a Red Hill Cafe thinking about my family, and I was in like a bit of a sad thinking, not about my immediate family, but like how I want my dad and my mum and my sisters all come together, and along comes a kookaburra. And I'm like, oh my God, why let's just make it funny. Let's talk about the funny stuff and not the sad stuff. And then today, my son, who lives out of home now because he's a bit older, I sort of have this, yearning that I want to see him more because it does, there's circumstances of why. But anyway, he plays football and he's only a very lean person, and he had a knock in his ribs. So He went to, quick long story cut short, he went to hospital last night. He told me this morning we were meant to catch up. I wasn't feeling 100%, neither was him. And so either was he. So my husband took me to Flinders. We went for a drive and we were talking about, probably not, you know, he shouldn't be doing this, you know. I know he's active and he's got all this. And all of a sudden this friggin' huge kangaroo just jumps, hops out in front of us. And then another little baby one. And there was more. And I'm like, whoa, what's going on? Because it was so energetic and lean. And it reminded me of my son, that it's okay. That's his life. It is okay. He's got all this stamina, and here's me as a mum writing to him saying, you need to rest. The best thing you need to do is rest right now. Rest your body. You shouldn't be doing anything. And he's like, I'm fine. I can drive. I'm okay. And I'm like, you've hurt your ribs. Like, and then all of a sudden, as my husband and I were talking about it and making something out of it, along comes this huge, so 3 animals. I found that quite interesting.
It's
Anyway.
like that. Okay, no,
There you
cool.
go.
That's cool. Yeah, it's gonna be 5 stories. Yeah, the
5
fox,
stories.
the fox, the kookaburra, and the kangaroo all are obviously symbology, and you know, whatever. You could go look them up, do whatever. I find them as a trigger point to shift your focus. So
Okay.
they're appearing and they're shifting your focus into that moment, which is really interesting because that's what you're focusing at this point in doing, is becoming more present. So now you've got the responding animal kingdom playing its job and reflecting that aspect to you, which is for me that I can make a good story. So that'll make, I will tick that one. And I love the awareness and connection of letting your child be, because it is his journey and not yours. We all have that. Today I actually rang my son because we have got not the best, I mean, love him dearly. Our communication is when it is, and he says, Mum, and we've got this understanding. He said to me one day, Mum, you know I love you. I don't have to ring you all the time and tell you, and we're okay, you know. And so we have that. Today we thought, oh, he's been to China with the team, and you know, he's been away playing futsal and stuff. So I said, oh, we'll give him a catch up because we know he's really busy. And so we sat there and we were driving along. We just drove down to Mount Martha Beach and sat there and chatted to him. And he said, actually, before he went away on to play for New Zealand over there, he said, oh, I had a knock to my ribs, and I had a vision that he was injured before he went away, and I kind of wiped it out of my psyche, thinking, you don't put that out, you know, kind of like it is, he's in good space, you know, and just let it go. And anyway, he said just before he left, they were training, and he got a knock to the ribs, and he said it was a bit uncomfortable. He just thought it was bruised and stuff, and he went away and he played the first game against China, and he said, come off, and he said to the physio, you know, it's a bit uncomfortable and stuff, and he thinks they think he's got dislocated rib. So he's played all over there the whole time with a dislocated rib. So he's come back to get that all sorted out. So I'm kind of laughing at your story about your caring and his mother going, oh yeah, no, you know, like, yeah. Here I am on the other side of the fence. But I mean, that, you know, I've got to that point, and you'll get, and you too. And I think the biggest gift kids give us is the attachment and detachment, and the allowing their process, and you know, we give them the space to have this experience as they come through and become, you know, are born into the world. Whether how long they stay there and whatever they do and stuff, we just have to trust it's their experience and allow them to do it their way and not our way. And you know, we always put, you know, well, probably not so much. Not so much me. I was
letting
listening
them go in the big wide world. It's like, oh my goodness, it's just.
Yeah, I think I learnt from a very young age. I always say that's the gift separation from with the kids, and sending them off to their dads gave me is that trusting they're going to be okay, because they were going into some interesting environments. So I was kind of putting them on the bus thinking, they're going to come back alive, and that sort of stuff. And so I learned through that, it taught me a lot of faith and a lot of trust in the world, because it was the unknown that I was sending them into, and what sort of environment I had no control over. So and now reflecting back, it's they've lived on to whatever they are now, and it's all been okay. So I get what you're saying. I think circumstances do play an interesting, you know, whether it helps or doesn't help. But I think it comes down to how long we play in the over maternal attached arena or a detached arena, and then allowing an understanding that life is here to be lived. It's not us to control their outcomes. And I think from you being who you are, there's nothing else to do, because they can see it being that a choice of a way. It doesn't have to be their way, but it's a choice of a way. And I always used to say to my kids about their dad, there was obviously some interesting times, and they would come home with a few interesting scenarios. And I said, you don't have to love him for what he does. You know, he is your dad. You can just love him for him being your dad. You don't have to agree with everything he does. But what he gives you is a choice and a way of living. You can choose to be like that, or you can choose to do something else. So, and with that, I think that's helped them grow and allow them to have an experience with their dad and appreciate and accept who he is. Not that they, or me, and me too, they don't have to agree with everything we say, and they'll be the first to that, especially the way I share like this, as in, not as in just being open, but this is how I've lived with them for quite some time. And so their phone call to mum is, hey mum, and blah blah blah, and I'm going, so what have you done to create that, you know? And so you never heard from your children, because who wants to own this shit? Like, seriously, dude, don't ring up someone who's going to feed it. Don't talk to me. So half the shit I probably didn't know they were going through. The reality on the other side of the fence is that they know that I'll accept them for who they are. So you've got the contrast of if they have got so much shit, and they can talk to you because they know there is no judgment.
Exactly. So and as much as you want to say you, I've learned to just go, you know what, because I think my oldest son has gone back to live with his dad, but he needs to. He needed to know who his dad was without me having my opinions. And he said, oh, wow, Mum. Wow. Wow. And I went, me say no more. And that's it, because it's his journey. You wanted to get to know your dad. You have gotten to know your dad. And but I think after 17 years of me, well, he's 19, nearly 20, but he's I've been on protection mode for 17 years because something did happen to him a long, long time ago. So I've been in that, I've got a beautiful husband now, and we have another son, but that was like me protection mode for 17 years. So when it was time for him to go, the only way for him to go was us to clash. And hello. Speaking in tongues. Hello.
How gorgeous. We got a son last week. Now we got another.
No.
Yeah. And I think Joe's just dropped, but I think that's a big thing, understanding that what we fear for them is actually our own fear, not their fear, and owning all those emotions that are attached to what we're experiencing through our children have got jack shit. They're just mirroring shit to us, and they are the biggest teachers, and so I get it. So that was a really nice. That's kind of a nice way to. How about we just flick that round and finish off on that? We'll just get a feedback from all you guys, and then we'll just seal it up. Thanks, Tanya.
Thank you.
Someone speak. Rochelle, go to you.
Kids, yes, I need to put mine to bed.
Yeah, okay. Okay, doke. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I've had that particularly with one of my sons, the most emotional. Well, it's
yeah. No, we're not going to make too much of it. Don't worry.
Whatever, you can, but I got to put it in bed in a minute.
Yeah.
But it's really gorgeous of like, I don't have to fix him, you know. I don't have to go and fix that problem. That's just my shit. And I've had such a beautiful, like, I look in his eyes and see him, and we just have these really, like, I'm getting to see the little moments in his heart and his soul. Because like, you always accept your children, but the other aspects, which were just triggering more stuff in me, my feelings.
Absolutely, yeah.
I was like it's fine. It's fine if you get upset about that. It's fine if you express being upset about that. But all of a sudden, because I wasn't attached to him being and enacting that way, and just being like, I love your heart. I love your heart. And now I get to share more moments loving that heart. It's been really cool.
And the perfect mirror, you're seeing your own soul through his eyes.
Mm.
Mm.
Little Buddhas.
Mm.
I wouldn't work on that shit for myself, so I had kids.
Yes.
Absolutely. Keep it simple. All complicated.
It's so beautiful. So beautiful.
Yeah. Vanessa.
Oh, I love it all. So many little pearls of wisdom in there.
To rewatch.
I think the biggest thing for me about parenting has been that it has taught me that you just can't control. That you just have to let go of control, and then you have a choice. And the choice for me is, to move into that space of faith and believing that everything will be okay.
Great reflection, eh? Faith and trust. Yeah, like it was huge for me.
We lead with love in our hearts for our children. That's gorgeous.
Gabrielle.
I think I love that comment. I often look at Patty and just start crying, like often.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I'd never thought of it as being reflective of my own soul, but beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful.
Oh well, I gather we've touched enough. We've gained enough light. Obviously, we're all glowing from the inside out. We shall leave it. Thanks for making it Sunday night too. My French little girl I pick up tomorrow night makes it so much easier. Appreciate that. I'm actually quite flexible for nights, as in what suits you girls better, and what, or if anyone, Gabrielle, wants to tune in at different nights. I'm not stuck to a night. I'm totally flexible, just to let you all know, and I just appreciate everyone turning up and sharing as they do. And Vanessa, there's a few videos now. I'm looking forward to that book.
No pressure.
No expectation.
No.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch up with you when we do.
Thank you all, girls. It's beautiful.
Thanks, Alex.
Night.
Thanks.
Night.
Love. See ya.
Bye, Del.
No.
Oops, that didn't work.